Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy and Daisy Ridley's upcoming Rey film that is supposed to see her rebuild the Jedi Order to create her own new Jedi Order is now reportedly indefinitely delayed due to creative differences between Lucasfilm and the screenwriter Stephen Knight. Before we get into this, I'd like to ask you please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss any of our future videos here at the Trent Report. Let's get into this here. This is over at thatparkplace.com. This new rumor comes from World of Reels Jordan Rumi. He says, I've been told that Disney has delayed the film indefinitely, which is why they surprised everyone last week and decided to announce The Mandalorian and Grogu as the next Star Wars movie. They just don't have confidence that new Jedi Order will be happening in the near future. Might be more than that. Might be the fact that they saw the Marvels absolutely bomb at the box office and they're just like, we can't have one of those again. And they're like, scrap it. And that's why they announced The Mandalorian and Grogu to try and get some excitement, even though I don't think that one, it's, I guess, marginally a better idea, but I think that's a terrible idea as well, given the fact of what we saw in Mandalorian Season 3 and how people absolutely abandoned that show. And then you saw the ratings in Ahsoka went down even further. As for why he believes that the Lucasfilm doesn't have confidence in the film. He says the problem seemed to reside in creative differences between screenwriter Stephen Knight and Lucasfilm. I'm told that a draft had originally been written for the film, but Lucasfilm gave him so many notes that he had to start from scratch. Given this, Rumi is hearing Knight might exit the project, explaining his frustrations have grown. He's put Star Wars on the back burner and is now focused on the screenplay for his Peaky Blinders movie, which is supposed to go into production in the fall. So it looks like Stephen Knight is washing his hands of this Star Wars project. We did hear rumors that he didn't even there wasn't even a script, and he wasn't really he hadn't even turned anything in. This one is saying he has put in a script, and there are obviously got lots of notes from Lucasfilm, seemingly not liking what he put together. And now he's just kind of moving on and focusing on Peaky Blinders, which is a show that he created. So, uh, the idea that this film is in development hell isn't a surprise. It's kind of had development issues even before it was announced at Star Wars Celebration. Damon Lindelof was reportedly working on it as far back as March 2022 with Richard Rushfield writing at the Ankler. Word around Buena Vista Street is that Damon Lindelof, the Emmy-winning creator of Watchmen, Lost, and The Leftovers, is working on a Star Wars movie for Lucasfilm. Lindelof would tell Slash Film just a year later in March 2023 that he was no longer working on the project. He said, I would just say that for reasons that I can't get into on this Sunday morning, on this day, the degree of difficulty is extremely, extremely, extremely high. If it can't be great, it shouldn't exist. That's all I'll say because I have the same association with it as you do, which is it's the first movie I saw sitting in my dad's lap, 4 years old, May of 77. I think it's possible that sometimes when you hold something in such high reverence and esteem, you start to get in the kitchen and you just go, maybe I shouldn't be cooking. Maybe I should just be eating. We'll just leave it at that point. However, a month later, after they actually announced the film at Star Wars Celebration, he would tell Esquire, I was in more than talks to join the Star Wars universe. I joined the Star Wars universe. I was asked to leave the Star Wars universe. So will I get back in line outside the club and try to get back in again? Of course. This movie was the alpha and the omega. It was the first movie I saw in a movie theater. I love all the storytelling in that world, and if at first you don't succeed, try again, or again, try, as Yoda would say. So Lindelof obviously was removed from the project by Lucasfilm as well, and now it looks like Stephen Knight is exiting it too. Interestingly, uh, again, it's no surprise that this film is having development issues because we just had Daisy Ridley tell us this. She was speaking with Allo Cine. She says that the project was put together last minute. She says, yes, that was actually quite last minute. I was actually making my own film last year, and Lucasfilm president Kathy Kennedy said she wanted to have breakfast, and I thought we were just having breakfast. And so I was literally eating my breakfast, and she said, oh, we might do another one. I was like, okay. So Daisy Ridley telling her side of the story, saying how the film came together last minute. And she said, so I thought about it for a little bit. Once I knew what the story was and everything, I knew that it was something I really wanted to do. I think it's a really fantastic exploration of the Star Wars world. It's a really cool way of taking the story on in a bit of a different direction. So she also would go on to say like she only joined because of the story. I think she kind of says it right there. But so they have an overall idea of what the story is. They just can't actually get it together in a script form where it actually looks good, I guess, because uh, I mean, Kath Kennedy has said that they've been working on this film for a number of years. Daisy Ridley saying it came together last minute. We're seeing Lindelof be removed from it. Stephen Knight looks like he's leaving as well. But the idea that it did come together last minute is something we also heard from Scooper WDW Pro back in February of 2023, where he actually revealed they were working on a Ray film. That was the actual film that Damon Lindelof was working on, or at least someone over there at Lucasfilm was working on. I don't know if he confirmed that it was a Lindelof film, but he said, "I'm told there was a decision point in the last few months concerning Star Wars, and that decision point came about because the brand is seen as damaged even internally at Disney." He went on to detail after revealing they would be bringing back Daisy Ridley for the Ray film, saying, "This contact, the source tells me that the reason that they are going to potentially bring Ray back is to test it out, put out a big merchandising push with a theatrical release to go along with it, and find out, can Ray reinvigorate Star Wars with a number of other characters around her?" Maybe they actually did that. They didn't need the movie to do that. They saw the reaction, and it was abysmal. We also had this from WDW Pro more recently. He alleged that the reason why Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy was pushing identity politics while talking about this upcoming Star Wars film was to try and protect it from internal decision makers at Lucasfilm, the Walt Disney Company. This is what he said. He said, "It looks like, according to this source, that Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy is being very public and positioning this as she is a woman of color. It's time for her to be in charge, that she's being so forthright in this kind of DEI language in order to protect the film from being cut even more drastically." And what is being alleged is that the Walt Disney Company, although I cannot prove this independently, that the Walt Disney Company, many of the higher ups are extremely squeamish. And squeamish is the word that was sent my way in regards to the viability of this film. They're quite nervous. So obviously, there have been seemingly some debates and questioning of whether or not this film should actually be made over there at Lucasfilm from people on the Walt Disney Company side. And he's alleging that Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy was trying to position herself as a champion of diversity and wokeness. So you can't actually fire her. And we know what the Walt Disney Company thinks of when it comes to wokeness. They are fully on board. That is like basically the one thing you can't cross with them. So if you're trying to protect your film, positioning it that way is probably something good inside, like at least internally at the Walt Disney Company. Obviously, I think that wokeness in general is just straight up evil. But as for the story that Daisy Ridley talked about, how she was so excited about, this is what we know about it. We got the official blog post saying that it will feature Daisy Ridley back as Rey as she builds a new Jedi Order. A press release added Kennedy then revealed that Star Wars will head into the future with a new feature set 15 years after the last events of the Skywalker saga. Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy will tell the story of rebuilding the Jedi Order and the powers that rise to tear it down. The director then delighted fans by welcoming Daisy Ridley to the stage, confirming she will be reprising her beloved role as Rey in the upcoming movie. Kennedy would tell IGN during Star Wars Celebration, "We're 15 years out from Rise of Skywalker, so we're kind of post-war, post-First Order, and the Jedi are in disarray. And there's a lot of discussion around who are the Jedi, what are they doing, what's the state of the galaxy." And she's attempting to rebuild the Jedi Order based on the books, based on what she promised Luke. So that's where we're going. I have no idea what she's talking about based on the books. That's the books have Luke Skywalker rebuilding the Jedi Order. This woman clearly has no understanding of Star Wars. I mean, she's the one who said they don't have any source material. Now she's saying they're basing it on books. It's just, what is she even talking about? I mean, these people have no clue what they're doing when it comes to actually trying to tell like solid Star Wars stories. And that's obviously you see that in the product that they've created. They are more focused on feminism and pushing that heinous evil ideology rather than creating anything that points people upwards and tells an excellent story as the original trilogy did. So I think the idea that a Ray film, I guess I kind of just talked about this. They really have no clue what they're doing. They're clearly not trying to sell movie tickets. These ideas are just absolute garbage. They're hogwash. If you're trying to sell movie tickets, you're trying to get butts in seats. You're trying to make something high quality. This would not be where you would be going. You would be doing something completely different. I think you have to retcon the sequel trilogy, or you have to recast Luke Skywalker and start telling stories about Luke Skywalker actually being a hero, not being someone who is contemplating murdering his nephew. But I think that they don't really care about any of that stuff. Obviously, they're just trying to push feminism. But so I think this is a reason to celebrate that this film is being indefinitely delayed. Hopefully, it is completely scrapped because it means that they have lost a vehicle to push their feminism, push that evil ideology, push their awful storytelling ideas on to people, and people won't be seeing it. And I think that is cause to celebrate. Should be celebrating this movie absolutely failing before it has even got off the ground. Those are my thoughts on the matter. Let me know what you make of this rumor. Let me know in the comments below. Remember to always be charitable, but to always speak the truth.